students, and welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian, and I'm streaming to you from beautiful Victoria here in Western Canada. I hope that you have had a great first week to 2023, and your first weekend of 2023 is off to a fantastic start. Welcome everyone. In this class we are looking at IELTS reading section, specifically focusing on a passage that deals with earthquake readiness or earthquake preparedness. Welcome Carolina, our chat moderator, who is here to help answer questions and make sure that our class goes nice and smooth in the chat. Students, this is a subscribers chat class, so to join the chat, all you need to do is subscribe to this YouTube channel, which is a good idea because we have regular daily live IELTS classes to help you prepare absolutely free of charge. This lesson is brought to you by aehelp.com. This is the website we use to teach in these classes. This is where we will find our reading material for today. Sign up for the premium package. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. IELTShelp.com. That's where you will find our general IELTS materials. The academic website looks like this with the blue background at aehelp.com. All you need to do is click this big red button that's just above my head there. It's a one-time payment for lifetime access. And you can use the code LEARN10 for a 10% discount on the chat or on the website. You can use that code on the general IELTS website here as well. Again, simply by just clicking that big red button there just above my head. We're an IDP affiliate, British Council partner, IELTS test registration center. I have taken the IELTS exam. I'm a certified British Council agent. I'm a native speaker of English. I'm here to help you succeed. Students, you can check out our apps in your app stores. Link them to the websites. Search for Academic IELTS Help, General IELTS Help. Also, you can follow us on Instagram for daily videos, reels, vocabulary, IELTS_AHelp, GIELTS Help, and you can send me an email anytime you wish, adrian@aehelp.com or admin@aehelp.com. Today we have this reading class right now. Tomorrow we will have speaking part 2, speaking part 3. Then we will have a class on Discord. You need to install Discord for this. Discord is it's a kind of a platform that was created by gamers, and it's more or less free. And then you join these communities, and there's a great group of people there. IELTS Prep. We work with them sometimes. It's a group of students for IELTS. Absolutely free. So check that out. Students, reading, let's get into it. So let me jump over to the materials. Here we have our material again from aehelp.com. This is our academic IELTS second book, which has the exams 4 to 6. And let me just get down to the reading that we're looking at today. It's going to be on, I think we just passed it, which is okay. All right, there we go. Here it is, coming up. Okay, and no list of headings there, so all right. So this is what we're looking at today. Let me make sure it's all on the screen for us. Good, so this is the reading passage for today. The topic of this reading passage is earthquake preparedness. Okay, it's a good topic. It's a good refresher. Many of us live in earthquake zones, and sometimes we don't even know that we are in an earthquake zone. I was in Europe a couple years ago, and there was an earthquake. People thought it was impossible to have an earthquake there, but nature is full of surprises. That was the earthquake in Croatia in 2020, I believe. And I was in Budapest at the time, and we felt it in Budapest. It was a pretty big one in Croatia. And people thought, man, there won't be an earthquake in Croatia. It's not an earthquake zone. And Yeah, well, we don't know as much about Earth as we think we do sometimes. And certainly here on the west coast of North America where I live, we definitely are in an earthquake zone. We're along the St. Andreas Fault. Earthquakes, of course, are when the ground shakes. So when you get to the IELTS exam and you have a topic and you read the title, Earthquake Preparedness, like getting ready for an earthquake, right? Well, how do you do that? So the first tip for your reading strategies is always read the title. I think people do that now. Years ago when I was teaching the IELTS, I was always amazed at how many people just didn't even read the title. They thought it was not important. They're like, it's not important to read the title. What? Do you ever watch a movie without reading the title? Maybe not. All right. So your first strategy is read the title and think about the contents. You hear other teachers, I'm sure, talk about this, like predicting the passage. So here, when you think about earthquake preparedness, what do you think about? So what do you think about? Keol says, we know about uncertainty. The truth is fascinating. Indeed, Keol. Indeed. So earthquake preparedness, earthquake readiness. Okay, what is that? Tanish. I hope that made you happy, Tanish Sharma. What do you know about earthquake preparedness, Tanish? Vineeth Reddy says, staying away from these places. Well, yes and no, Tanish. Unfortunately, the reality is that where we have earthquakes, those are some of the most beautiful places in the world. So Greece, Vancouver Island, Hawaii, Costa Rica, they're definitely some of the most amazing, most beautiful places, the biggest tourist destinations, and they're the ones that have the earthquakes. So there's an irony there, right? People say stay away from these places, but places with earthquakes tend to be full of life and beauty, so it's hard to do. Raquea says going under wooden furniture. So hiding under furniture. Sure, Raquea. Okay. Prerna says precautions to take, or simply put, Prerna, take precautions, right? Devakar says move towards the same place. Okay, so move towards a safe place. Sure, I think is what you're trying to say. Yeah, Andrew says secure fragile items. Yeah, don't have like a 200 kilogram picture frame hanging above your bed, just above your head if you live in this kind of place. Raj, very good. Raj says build a strong house. So build strong buildings. Ruhi says go to open areas. Yeah, very good. Okay, now you're thinking. Excellent. Good. So that's what you do for step one. You read the title and you think about the contents, right? Very good. All right, students, you're doing fantastic. I love all the chatter now in the chat. Chatter in the chat. Chatter in the chat. It's good. It's what we like to see. Okay, so we've done that. Now we go to the next step, which is to read the questions, or look at the questions anyway. So here we have some yes, no, not given. It's similar to the truth, false, not given questions. Should I read the yes, no, not given questions? So let's look at the questions first. So next step is look at the questions. Okay, and should I read the yeah, and okay. So Raquea says no. Nat says no. Yeah, no, you shouldn't. Absolutely. Okay, so do not read questions before the passage that have false or irrelevant information. For example, true, false, not given, or multiple choice answers. Okay? Because these will just confuse you. Okay? So don't read them. All right, look at the questions. Do not read the ones that have extra information. It's clear which ones they are, right? A lot of times you have so many choices, but you realize only one is given. It's like, why would you read all that information that's not even in the passage? You're wasting time. Also, you're wasting time reading irrelevant information. Okay? All right, so do read the questions that contain information shared with the passage. Okay? All right, that makes sense because these will help you. This will help you understand the passage as the information paraphrases the passage. Paraphrase means to say it a different way. Okay. Iqbal, it's for every question except one. There's one special exception to this rule. It's the list of headings, but we don't have that question today, so don't worry about it, okay? We'll look at that one another time. By the way, if you want to see list of headings, questions, strategies, look at that video on the channel, okay? We've got a HD video that's just for that. Okay, so yes, no, not given, don't look at it. Okay, here we have complete each sentence with the correct ending A to G below. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 sentences. All of this is in the passage, so it is good to read that before the passage. The choices, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 choices. We don't know which ones are in the passage, which ones are not, so it's like a multiple choice, so we don't read this before the passage. It's unnecessary. It's just confusing. So let's read these ones. Now, this is a reading class, everybody, so let's read. Let's read together. Okay. Here we go. 18. The first step after waiting out aftershocks is to... Poor construction results in buildings that offer something. Even otherwise well-constructed buildings may be at risk because they... something. Okay. Buildings along the west coast of North America and Japan are designed to... All right, so we're going to read about buildings, so good prediction there, and well-constructed buildings. So couple students predicted that building good buildings is a good idea, and it's obviously going to be discussed. Here we have it as well. Waiting out aftershocks. What is that? Who knows? Don't worry about it if you don't know. It's okay. We will read about it. It's in your mind. It's all you need right now. All right. And then we have... complete the summary question. This is a good one to read before the passage because it summarizes a part of the passage, which is great. Manikanta, you just missed the Task 2 live session. We just finished it 30 minutes ago, so check out the video on the channel when you have a minute. Okay, so here we go, everybody. Earthquake planning. Again, students, to know which classes are happening what time, these live classes, subscribe to the channel so you get notifications. Hit that bell button. Somebody was just asking me about Task 2 and we just missed it. Okay, or we just did it, so the person missed it. All right, so earthquake planning, summary completion. Okay, read this. Here we go. Planning is incredibly important for surviving an earthquake. They must make sure in advance that they have appropriate something to survive after the event. Something is the most critical resource after an earthquake since municipal sources may be damaged and unavailable. Conversely, something will be less scarce because it is less likely to be compromised in an earthquake. Some measures to take in preparation for an earthquake include storing medical supplies in a safe place, not hanging picture frames above your bed, and identifying something in your home and workplace. In the event of an earthquake, try to call for help using your phone, or if you are trapped, try something on a pipe. Don't worry about the answers. We don't need them yet. That will be after we read the passage. Students, we are going to read the passage now that we reviewed the questions. And the IELTS passages are between 650 to 800 words, so about 2 pages typed. Althea, no, you can't just skim for words uncontrollably because they might appear in multiple places in the paragraph and they're paraphrased. So you need to do what's called controlled skimming and scanning. And in order to do that, you do actually have to read the paragraph first. So if you cannot read the passage, if you cannot read the passage and answer the questions in the 20 minutes, if you think that's not enough time, don't take the IELTS. Wait until you can do that. There's just no way to get an average band score of 6.5 on your IELTS exam or higher just by skimming and scanning. And if you can do that, then you can actually do a better job if you read the passage, okay? It's a very important tip, everybody. So you know what? I'm going to type this down really quickly for you because I don't want you to waste money, okay? Because you're just going to waste money, and I don't want you to waste money, okay? So if you are not able to read the passage in 10 minutes and answer the questions in another 10 minutes, if you rely only on skimming and scanning, do not waste your money on IELTS because it is near impossible to get an overall score of 6.5 or more. Okay? Practice your fluency until you can read the passage. Now, you don't need to understand the whole passage 100%. I don't mean that. Like, you don't need to have perfect reading skills, but you need to have about 60 to 70%. So instead, practice fluency in reading until you can read the whole passage in about 10 minutes and understand at least 60%, let's say. Okay? Everybody clear on that? Everybody good on that? Okay. If you're not able to do that, just don't do the IELTS. Wait. Okay. Wait until you can. You shouldn't waste money. Yeah, Akira, if you can read the passage in 7 to 8 minutes, that's fantastic. Okay, it's totally fine. All right. Okay, for those of you going for a band 7 or higher, you should be able to read the passage in 8 minutes or less and understand 80% of the passage. Okay? All right. Okay, good. I see a lot of thumbs up. Fantastic. All right, everybody. So for this reading, let's listen to a British speaker read the passage. This passage, again, it's coming from our exam books. This is CD5, track 6. Okay. So let's go to CD5, track 6 on the website. If you don't have access to the website right now, that's okay. Don't worry about it. I do. Okay, so I'm going to show you this. So again, if you decide to join the premium package, it's a good idea, especially if you watch these classes regularly. We use the website as our textbook. Click that big red button, okay, and then you go to your My Student account. In your My Student account, when you're doing your reading, check out the audio CDs. It's this tab here. It's also where you find all the listening audio and so on. And then this one here is going to be CD5, track 6. Get ready and listen with me here. So here we go. Track 5, CD6.
Why do tortoises live so long?
Sorry, it's It's the one that's...
Tortoises are some of the longest-lived creatures in nature.
Is it this one?
Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Though earthquakes, most of the time, are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls, at their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning.
So read like this.
Those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times each year in school, and students practice the appropriate steps to take in the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there is a safer place to seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks, smaller earthquakes which occur shortly after the initial quake, so staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high-risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and the west coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in the event of a major earthquake. The final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 litres per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the quake, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace. In the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, Use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning. Countless lives can be saved.
All right,
Why
students.
do tortoises live so long?
Good. So that is the reading. Now we're going to go back to the website here. And again, this is at aehelp.com. Maybe Carolina, you can help a little bit here by putting the instructions into the chat. So I'm going to actually get students who are with us right now watching this live IELTS class to volunteer for some reading. And I'm going to teach you the strategies on how to understand the text and how to answer these questions really well through working together, reading each paragraph. So click on this student partner speaking button on the website and just follow Carolina's instructions in the chat. You can see it there. So she's given you the link for the website, and you can sign up for it by clicking any of the big red buttons or the green button to try it for free. Once you click on the student partner speaking after you log in, then you will end up in this interface here. It's the speaking chat interface where we can communicate to each other verbally. So we can talk to each other. If I weren't using YouTube, you could even video chat with each other. You can do that at any time. And then you can volunteer. Send me a message. So send me just a little hello, how are you? I'd like to read, give me a chance, or can I try? Something like that. You will see me in here as Master. That will be my handle. It's easy to identify. It's all capital, Master. Sounds so official. Master. And then click on the blue envelope. There, you see all these little blue envelopes? That's to send a message. So you can send me a message and just say, I want to try, or can I have a try? And then as soon as you do that, I will see a little orange number pop up next to your name, and I can say, okay, sure, give it a shot. So let's start from the bottom of the list today. Let's give Raquea a go at this. Okay, Raquea, sure. Are you ready? All right, Raquea, if you're there and you're ready, let me know with a quick response. Say yes. That way I can also test your connection. Students, if you haven't used this before, I highly recommend testing it with another student real quick. Okay, just to make sure you're able to connect. Hi, Raquea.
Hi, how are you?
I am doing great. How are you doing, Raquea?
I'm doing fantastic.
Okay. Raquea, are you in an earthquake zone?
Yes, it happens very little, not big earthquake.
You're in India, right?
Yes, I am in India, and
Yeah.
last 2 months previous, I have faced earthquake, very little.
Yeah, India is definitely an earthquake zone because you have India kind of smashing into the Asian continent there. That's why the Himalayas, right, are so big, because of the movement of the plates. All right. So, Raquea, I'll get you to read this introductory paragraph and the title, please, and then we'll talk about it briefly. So whenever you're ready, just start with the title and then read the introduction.
Okay, yeah. Earthquake preparedness. Of all natural disasters, earthquakes are likely to be the most devastating. Though earthquakes most of the time are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock pictures frame of walls, at their strongest, earthquakes can destroy entire cities, killing thousands and displacing millions. For regions of the world affected by earthquakes, being prepared for the big one is crucial to surviving when it eventually occurs. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning.
Awesome. Okay, Raquel. So this is the introduction. It basically introduces the concept of earthquakes, that they happen. They're often small, but sometimes they can be very, very big, right?
Yes.
So, Raquel, this is a typical standard introductory paragraph, and there's one sentence here that's very important for the reader to pay attention to. What is that sentence, Raquel?
It is the last sentence. Earthquake preparedness takes three forms: education, construction, and planning.
Why is
It's
that so?
called
Yeah.
because it is a thesis sentence.
Okay, so Raquel, you're in these classes quite regularly, and you're a very good student, which is fantastic. And so you've given me a good answer. It's the thesis statement. It's a thesis sentence. So what does this sentence tell you? So what can you learn from this sentence right away?
Its sentence tells me that three important features which we have to conscious about and focus on, that we can save our lives and our lives because of education, construction, and planning.
Right. Okay. So we get the main concepts, which definitely is helpful, but for getting those high band scores on IELTS, right? And especially if somebody is looking or searching for answers. Like, let's say one of the questions is about construction. Okay. When I see this thesis statement, if I'm searching or if I'm skim reading for information about construction, where would I do that now that I see this thesis statement?
It is in the middle of this passage paragraph.
Exactly, right?
Middle of
How about planning?
planning is at the end of this passage.
Okay, and finally, how about education?
Yes, it is maybe first or second body paragraph.
Very nice, right? So that's why it's so important to recognize that, because we realize that, okay, the author is also giving us the structure with this. They're going to outline the order or the organization of the passage, right? So if I have to skim read, I'm not just randomly reading all over the place, but I have a good idea of where to look. Awesome. Raquel, that's fantastic. You're doing a great job. Hang in there. We're going to continue on,
Sir,
and then we'll get to the
I
questions.
have a question.
Yeah, absolutely. What is your question?
Sir, my question is, I have some weakness in reading understanding, so how can I improve my reading understanding?
Great question, right? So how can I improve my comprehension? Well, first of all, you're already on the right track by focusing on the structure of the writing itself, right? The second step, whenever you're doing your reading practice, okay, instead of reading 20 different passages, focus on one and make sure you understand it, okay? So anytime that you come across a new word, okay, first of all, read the paragraph. So don't just stop and find definitions. After you've read the paragraph, when you come across a new word, like let's say you come across the word tremors, and let's say you're like, well, I don't know what that means, right? Okay, first of all, try to figure out the meaning of tremors from context. So most of the time are only weak tremors, which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls. So if I think about this, maybe I can guess that tremors are like shakes, like little shaking, okay? But if I don't know this word and I'm really stuck, then of course eventually I just go to the dictionary and check it, and then I look up the word tremors and it will say it's a noun which refers to small shakes or rattles often associated with earthquakes. And then I get the definition, and then I go through the actual passage like that step by step, and then once I define the words, then I read it again. So for example, I'll look at this introductory paragraph, I'll identify all of the words that are new to me, like let's say devastating, tremors, displacing, let's say. So once I identify what these mean, then I read the paragraph again, and then I continue. It's slow, it's tedious, it's frustrating sometimes, but it's the way to do it. And once you start doing this more and more, you'll get faster at it. Okay, Raquel?
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Have a lovely day.
You too. Bye for now, Raquel.
Okay, bye.
All right, that was a good question. Also, I wanted to add, Raquel and everybody, that for comprehension, you want to visualize. So just seeing, picturing the information is really helpful to improve comprehension. So picturing yourself in this situation is very useful, okay? Although this one's quite a scary one. Okay, everybody, let's take a look at somebody else here. Let's see if Helen, another one of our premium students, is around. Okay, Helen, are you ready to read? And then we'll continue with body paragraph 1. We're just going to go through this with our students, focus on the main idea of each body paragraph as students read and try to summarize it. So here is the challenge for everybody. Don't just listen, but also read the paragraphs with each student. And then once we're finished the paragraph, write down what is this paragraph about, and then give a simple, clear answer, okay? Helen, if you are there, let me know, and then you can read the next paragraph. Otherwise, we'll jump to somebody else. So I'll give you a quick countdown here. Helen, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, Helen, check back with us later. Domenico, let's jump over here. Are you ready to read? Hang in there, students, because you never know when you'll get the chance or when I will call on you. So as long as you've volunteered, just stay the course, okay? All right.
Hello, sir.
Hi, Domenico. How is your day going?
It's going very well. Yeah, I was paying attention to the class. Before this class, I wrote the essay about from the previous session, and well, I'm here sitting at the desk.
Good, good, good. All right, Domenico, I'll get you to read paragraph 2 for us, please, whenever you are ready. Start with those who grow up in earthquake zones.
Yeah, Those who grow up in earthquake zones are very familiar with so-called earthquake drills. These exercises take place multiple times in each year in school, and students practice the appropriate steps to begin the event of an earthquake. The first step is to take shelter under a strong structure. In school, this is often a wooden desk. In the absence of such furniture, a door frame is recommended, as this is the strongest structural part of any room. Next, drop to the ground, cover your head and neck, and only move if there's a safer place to seek shelter within short crawling distance. Keeping your head and neck covered are of critical importance, since falling hazards are one of the biggest dangers in an earthquake. Once the shaking has stopped, people are advised to wait for any aftershocks to occur. Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks. Small earthquakes, which occur shortly after the initial quake, so staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes after the main event. Once sufficient time has passed, people should get to open ground, taking care to avoid falling hazards, especially glass structures such as windows.
Very nice, Domenico. Okay, so obviously, as we learned from the thesis, the first body paragraph, no surprises about education. Right?
Yeah, education. This body paragraph deals with education. So the steps you need to take when you live in an earthquake zone or a seismic zone. For example, this body paragraph reminds me of when I was in primary school, because I live in a seismic zone.
I
because
was going to
Sicily,
say, you're reading my thoughts here, Domenico, because I know you're in Sicily, in Italy, and of course Sicily definitely
Sicily
is
lies between the African plate and the European plate.
and it's definitely an earthquake zone, right? So I
Yes,
had a
yeah.
feeling that you had some earthquake drills when
Especially
you were in school.
Messina, for example, the earthquake and the tsunami of Messina is the most destructive earthquake ever to strike Europe in
Absolutely.
1908 in 1908 in 90 yeah in 1908.
And that's one of the reasons Sicily is so beautiful as well, right? Because it's in
Yeah,
an earthquake zone.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I wanted to say, because I know you're in Sicily, Italy, and I know that's an earthquake zone as well. Of course, right? It's well known. So if you're lucky enough in the IELTS to get a passage where the information is connected to your own surroundings or your own experiences, then absolutely it's important to think about that, because the IELTS tells the truth. So they don't lie. They try to tell you facts about the information. So when you're reading this passage, Domenico, then you definitely remember those school days that you're telling me about, and you remember those drills, right? So you probably had a flashback of when the bell or the siren goes,
We
right?
had first thing we had the first thing we had to do, we were supposed to do, is to take shelter under the desk, the wooden desk.
Yes.
The first thing, the frame door, which is the strongest part of a room.
Yeah, there we go. I just drew some pictures for us there. Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So that's what we did. That's what we did here as well. So I'm also in an earthquake zone, and it's good to know about this. So that's what we did. So you picture those events. Okay, I want to show another kind of little technical aspect with this paragraph that you just read, Domenico. So I want to show this piece here. Notice this sentence. Can you read this sentence for me again, the one that I'm just about to underline here? If you could read that sentence one more time for everybody, starting with many deaths.
Many deaths and injuries occur during aftershocks, smaller earthquakes which occur shortly after the initial quake. So staying sheltered is recommended for up to 10 minutes. And that's I know.
Yeah, okay, good.
After the main event.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So I want to highlight something here for everybody. Notice this little line that's here in the text. Okay.
This is a strong recommendation. What you are supposed to do when you are experiencing an earthquake or a tremor. So what you have to do, you have to stay in that place.
Right. So what I want to show here with this, Domenico, is a little bit of the technical part of English here, with the hyphen, and of course using the Arabic alphabet. So in Italian, this is familiar, but for people who are using Chinese alphabet, Japanese or Arabic, they might not be familiar with this type of punctuation. And this is important to understand this. So that's why I'm emphasizing this here. When you have these little lines, these are called hyphens. These are hyphenations. And you notice that there are two of them. So there's a hyphen here and there's a hyphen here. What that tells the reader, okay, is that this word, the word that comes before the first hyphen, okay, the word here is aftershocks, is defined. So it tells you that the phrase, which is between the two hyphens, is actually the definition of the preceding word. So this phrase is a definition of this word. There are two ways to do this in literature. One is to use the hyphen, okay? And then the other way to do this is to, Domenico, do you know what the other punctuation we can use to do the same as the hyphen?
The hyphen, yeah.
Or what other? Or which one? If it's not the hyphen, there's a different punctuation. We can do the same kind of trick of definition with another punctuation. Do you know what it is?
No, I'm trying to figure out
Yeah,
another
Andrew.
type of punctuation.
Andrew there in the chat says you can also do it with
I don't know.
commas. Commas. So
Commas.
it's called
commas, yeah.
it's called a definitive clause. So you sometimes see the hyphen, and then sometimes you see the comma. The comma is a little bit trickier to catch, but it's also quite often used. So this is going back to what Raquea was asking me before. Raquea said, sometimes I have difficulty understanding the text, so what can I do? And there are, of course, a lot of different tips or strategies to help understand what the text is saying. One is to really pay attention to punctuation. Punctuation, when you know how they're using it, you can understand that, okay, this word is being defined here. And that's very important in this case, because as we recall in the questions, there was this question here, number 18. The first step after waiting out aftershocks is to. And now we know what aftershocks are because we remember that definition. It's the smaller quakes that follow.
It's the wait for up to 10 minutes. So where you have to stay in that place for up to 10 minutes, and then you can get to the open ground before you go outside, before you leave your house, for example. Your house after 10 minutes, about 10 minutes, you have to wait for about 10 minutes, and then you can take the street.
Absolutely, go to open ground, a field or a street, right? Yeah. So right away, right, we know that the answer will be somewhere there where it says go to open ground, and we can see it here.
To
B,
open ground,
right?
Leave the building and find open ground. Yeah,
absolutely. Okay, now here's a question, Domenico, and this is for everybody as well. Do you think it's a good idea, Domenico, to answer the questions like this when you see the answer? So we realized, okay, in the second paragraph that we have one of the answers here. So I quickly jump to the questions, and then I quickly answer question 18. Is that a good strategy to answer questions while I'm reading? What do you think, Domenico?
Well, you can answer. Well, you can either answer the question or you read the whole passage and then go through the questions.
Which one do you think is better? Which one do you think is better? Read the whole passage first or go question by question?
Well, as I go through the passage, I answer the question.
Okay, well, here's my 2 bits, as they say, my 2 bits. So my personal opinion, if you're really going for those high band scores, the band 9s, the best strategy is to read the whole passage first and then to answer the questions. There's a reason, so there's logic for this.
Adrian, I would be tempted to answer the question right away as I go through the passage.
It is. I know. It's so tempting, right? It's like, oh, there's the answer. I can answer it. There's and I know I'm tempted too. I'm just like you, and I'm sure a lot of students are. They're like, I'm so tempted to do that, right? So why is that bad? That's the question, right? So why is that bad?
It's tempting to answer the question. It's tempting. So I don't know. Yeah, I can read the whole passage. I can go through the whole passage, but if I 100% sure about that question, the answer to that question, I just tick the box.
Yeah. And you know, it's tempting. It's like chocolate, right? So many parts of life that are tempting, we know they're bad, right? Chocolate's so tempting, but eating a lot of chocolate is probably not a good idea, right? There's just a lot.
You should avoid temptations. To the temptation.
Exactly, right? Temptations are usually bad, unfortunately, and this is bad too. So the question is, why is it bad? And we're going to answer that question in a moment here, Domenico, but I'm going to give somebody else a chance to volunteer here. So thank you for volunteering. Hang in there, and you're going to find out the answer. Okay, bye, Domenico. That's Domenico. Give him a thumbs up. He was doing a fantastic job, and I want to give a chance to others to answer this question as well. Let's go to somebody else here. Let's go to... Mihir, again, another one of our premium students. Let's see if Mihir is here. Mihir, are you ready? to interact with me. Okay, and we're going to answer this question of why it's bad to answer while you're reading, so don't go too far. Mihir is going to help me dissect this important question here for us, okay? All right, Mihir, if you're there, let's do it. Hello, Mihir.
Yeah, hi, Adrian. How are you doing today?
I am doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, Adrian. Thank you so much for having me here today. Lucky day.
I'm happy to have you. Fantastic. Mihir, where are you calling from? Can you tell everybody?
I'm from India, located in Shimla right now. It's freezing over here.
Okay. All right. So are you close to the Himalayan mountain range?
Yeah, right.
Okay. Yeah. So you're definitely in an earthquake zone as well, potentially.
Yeah.
All right. Mihir, so you're following the class. Were you listening to our little chat with Domenico?
Yeah, right. I just
Okay.
got a chance to follow it.
Good, good. So let's continue with this important thought. I said to everybody, don't try not to answer while you're reading, like this question that we just looked at about aftershocks.
Yeah.
Why is that? So why would I give that advice in the IELTS to read the whole passage first and then answer the questions instead of stopping every few sentences? What do you think?
I guess we just lose the trail of the whole passage, the idea behind the passage, and in search of this sort of answers while we just look at the question and have some sort of hints. And when we go to question, then we of course lose the trail of passage and we lose the whole idea of passage.
Yeah, you're right. And I
Absolutely.
absolutely, you're right. And Andrew and a couple other people in the chat recognize that as well. So you lose the train of thought, you lose the whole idea of the passage. And there are definitely certain questions that require a global understanding of the passage.
Yeah.
So you will often have a multiple choice question that will ask something like, what is the main idea of the passage that the author is trying to convey? And then that one, if you've stopped every question, it's kind of like, oh, do I have to go back and read the whole passage now, right? So that's one reason. There are multiple reasons, though. Can you think of any other reasons why? So losing the train of thought is definitely one reason. Why? What other reasons? What else
Okay,
could there
let me
be?
just. All right. Can you help me with that?
Yeah, absolutely. One important point to keep in mind about IELTS is a college or university level test, especially at the Band 8, Band 9 level. So certain questions don't just have one right answer. Certain questions will have multiple answers throughout the passage, and you have to find the best answer. So sometimes what happens is the students think, oh, here's the answer. I'm going to jump quickly because I saw that multiple choice question before the passage. I'm going to answer it, and then they choose the answer. And then they keep reading, and then suddenly they see another answer, and they're like, oh... I thought I just answered that, but I think this is a better answer. I'm going to go back. And now they're really getting confused and losing the train of thought, right? So when you read the whole passage, that's when you often learn what the best answer is to a question, not just the one answer, right? So there can be multiple ideas or information pertaining or connected to one answer. Or one question, and you must choose the best one.
Yeah, right.
That is very true, for example, with list of headings questions as well. So, and you must choose the best one, okay? So that's another reason why you should read the whole passage first and then. And there's even one more reason that I've discovered myself kind of doing IELTS exams and training students. And this one doesn't come easily, but it's very obvious when you think about it. People are like, oh yeah, of course, right? When you see a question and then you see the answer in the passage, if you think that's the answer, if you're like, that's the answer, you won't forget it. Okay. I think people worry that they're going to forget that that's the answer. They're like, oh, I'm going to forget that by the time I get, no, you won't. You're going to remember, oh yeah, that was the answer I was looking at before. So you're going to remember it anyway. Okay. So you will most likely remember the answer anyway when you identify it as the answer.
Yeah, right.
You see what I'm saying? It's not like you're going to read 3 more paragraphs and then you'll be like, oh, what was that thing about the aftershocks again? You're going to remember. You're going to be like, oh yeah, it said go to an open ground or go to an open place, right? So you don't need to do it. Okay, so you will most likely remember the answer anyway when you identify it as the answer. So you don't need to, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, so those are 3 very good reasons to read the whole passage and then answer the questions. All right. Okay, well, let me give you a chance here to do a bit of reading. Are you ready for a bit of reading?
Yeah, all right, I'm ready.
Okay, I can tell. You're like, when do I read? When do I read? All right, here we go. Okay, so let's continue here from one of the biggest factors whenever you're ready.
All right, the third passage, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, all right, here I go. One of the biggest factors that affects the number of casualties in an earthquake event is the quality of the construction of buildings that people work and reside in. In areas with poor construction standards, these buildings provide little to no protection against earthquakes. In the major earthquake that occurred in Haiti in 2010, poor construction standards were to blame for a large proportion of the casualties. While other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. In high risk earthquake zones, all buildings must be constructed with an eye to earthquake preparedness. Buildings in areas such as Japan and northwest coast of North America are constructed to shift a certain amount along with an earthquake. This elasticity allows the building to survive the quake. Instead of shaking and being knocked down, they are shaken and return to their original place. This type of construction greatly minimizes the risk to inhabitants in event of a major earthquake.
Fantastic. Okay. And that speed of reading is enough. I mean, if you read like that, you can read the whole passage in 10 minutes. So the only important thought after is just to make sure that you understand as much as possible. And there's kind of a fun way to do this. So here, obviously, we're reading about the construction, right? So the importance of constructing buildings for earthquakes. That should be clear to everybody here. And that was also in the thesis, as Raquea outlined in the middle of this passage. So when you're working with partners to practice your language and for the IELTS, and I strongly recommend people to work in partners, not just for the speaking section, but also for the other sections of the IELTS, then one really kind of fun activity to do with the reading is read a paragraph and ask some questions from each other, just openly. Don't worry about the questions in the passage, just openly ask questions about the paragraph. So I'm going to ask you a question and then give me an answer. So what is the example that this author uses to emphasize the importance of good construction in earthquake zones? What is the example, Mihir?
All right, I guess I don't find paragraph over here. Just a moment.
So in this paragraph, I'm purposefully not showing you the paragraph, so I want you to do it just from what you remember. So in this paragraph, what specific example does the author give us to emphasize the importance of good construction in earthquake zones? There's a very specific example that was at a certain time that happened. Do you remember?
All right, Haiti, yeah. The
That's right.
earthquake that happened in Haiti, yeah, right.
In what year?
Yeah, right. 2010?
Yeah. Okay. Where there were a lot of casualties. We remember that. That was a big one in the news. So if you're as old as me, you will remember that. Okay. Mihir, ask me a question about what you just read. Let's see if I can answer a question that you might have about this.
About what in particular?
This paragraph. So some piece of information that you remember about this paragraph, ask me about it, and hopefully I can answer it for you as well. So we're just doing a little back and forth Q&A about this paragraph.
Yeah, right. Okay. So, what does author talk about the sudden buildings which have been moved or shift along with this sort of earthquake, uh, common earthquake
Okay.
scenarios?
So, just to make sure I understand you clearly, in earthquake zones, the author mentions that certain buildings move and shift when earthquakes happen. And what is the author specifically discussing with this? That's what you're asking me, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay,
Which
good.
countries?
Okay, yeah. So the author introduces the concept of good construction in countries like Japan and in areas like North America, where the buildings are designed to shift and move with earthquakes so that they return to their original positions after the quake.
Yeah, right. That's good.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
So we're in agreement. If we disagree, that's when we want to look at the passage again and see and make sure that we had the same information. Here's one last question about this paragraph that I'm going to ask you.
All right.
According to the author, all buildings that are well constructed can withstand an earthquake. Is that true or is that false? So all buildings that are well constructed can withstand an earthquake, according to this author in this paragraph. Is it true or is it false?
I guess it hasn't been given in the paragraph. As far as I know.
Option C, not given. I'm going with option C here. All right, Mihir.
Yeah.
Well, good guess. This is where we're going to disagree. Okay.
Yeah, right. It was tricky, but I guess.
So, in my opinion, it's false. So, not all buildings that are well constructed. Okay. And this is when we're working in partners. This is where we're going to look at the paragraph again, and I can show you this, right? So, here in this part, I'm going to underline it. So, let's see here. Okay, I'll underline it there. And this is what we want to do when we're working in partners. So here the author says, while other countries have higher standards, often these standards are not designed with earthquakes in mind. Many buildings may be built to an otherwise high safety standard, but be almost as defenseless as the Haitian buildings when facing a strong earthquake. So yeah, in some countries, they build them well. They build a good, strong building, but it's made of bricks or rocks, heavy materials. It's not meant to flex or move, and they can still definitely fall apart if it's an earthquake. And that's what happens in some European countries. They have really well-built buildings that were built a long time ago, but not built for an earthquake, right? So the author here basically says not all well-built buildings can withstand earthquakes. Okay, so this kind of practice, Mihir, is very, very powerful for improving English and comprehension. And I strongly recommend students like yourself, you're a premium student, when you're using the website, open up this chat, wait for other people, check like Domenico, Raquea, Layla, somebody will come in here, and then say, hey, do you guys want to practice reading? Let's open up this passage from one of the exams. Let's read it and talk about it and ask some questions. And it's a really fun way to kind of, get into discussion. Okay, Mihir?
Yeah, right. That's helpful, Adrian. I appreciate your ideas are just so good.
Absolutely.
I'll try.
Absolutely. Okay, sounds good, Mihir. Thank you for helping me out with this and have a lovely rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you for having me here, Adrian. It was helpful. Have
Awesome.
a good day.
Bye, Mihir. All right, that was Mihir. Let's give Mihir a thumbs up. I can see that some of you said false as well there in the chat, which is great. Okay, doing a fantastic job. Let's take another volunteer here. Natalia, I don't know if we've heard from Natalia yet. Natalia, are you ready? I will take non-premium students as volunteers also, everyone. So I'm definitely, it pays to be a premium student. It's easier to see the premium students are all bolded up and everything. So Natalia, if you're there, let me know. Yes, Natalia is with us.
Hello.
Hi, Natalia.
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. Natalia, is this your first time volunteering?
Yes, indeed. I'm so nervous.
Don't be. Everybody had a first time. It's great that you're doing it. It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Natalia, where are you?
I'm in London, in the UK,
You're in London,
but
in the UK.
I am
Mhm.
Spanish.
And you're Spanish. From Spain?
Yes.
Okay.
Spain, yeah.
All right. Or you can even say, I'm a Spaniard. All right.
Yeah.
Because if you say I'm Spanish, sometimes people are like, okay, like Spanish, or like, like from another Spanish speaking country. There are so many Spanish speaking countries, right?
Yes, well, I was born in Spain, but my mom is Argentinian and my dad is Spanish, so
Oh,
yeah.
okay. So do you speak Argentinian Spanish or Spanish?
I guess it's Spanish.
Okay, because I know there are some differences, right, between
Yes.
these, right? So,
I know
okay,
some people. Yeah.
Natalia, well, it's great to have you here. And why are you taking the IELTS?
Because I took a degree as a radiographer, but in Spanish. I took it online.
Mm-hmm.
And now, thanks to Brexit, I have to score level 7 in IELTS in order to convalidate my degree.
Well, Natalia, I'll give you a little bit there. I mean, we can blame Brexit, but at the end of the day, whether it's Brexit or something else, English and IELTS almost is certain to get everyone. It's the global language. It's the language of business, language of tourism. That's why we have often students who are learning IELTS even before they need it for something because they know they're going to need it for something. They're like, I'm learning IELTS because I think I'm going to need it very soon. So it's good to do. All right. Let's do this paragraph. Let's read it. Whenever you're ready, start with the final form of.
Okay, so the final form of earthquake preparedness is planning. People in high-risk areas must have a plan for what to do in the event of an earthquake, and they must plan beforehand so they have appropriate supplies to survive in the initial days after the event. The most important resource after an earthquake is water, and it is recommended people keep enough water for a week, approximately 28 liters per person. Food will not usually be difficult to come by, but water, which relies on municipal delivery systems, which are very likely to be compromised by the quake, is precious. Other critical items such as medical supplies and personal documents should also be stored in a safe place so they can be retrieved after the event. Other measures which are useful to prepare for an earthquake are keeping a flashlight and whistle next to your bed, not hanging falling hazards such as picture frames over your bed, arranging a family contact person outside of your area, arranging a family meeting place, and identifying both hazards and refuge areas within your home, school, and workplace.
Right. So hope for the best, plan for the worst, right, Natalia?
A little bit, yes.
Okay. All right. So again, a little bit of Q&A with this. Can you name 3 items that you should have in case of an earthquake?
Well, I should have water. Sorry?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, keep going. So 3 items. Water, 1, definitely. What else?
I should have something to cover myself.
Okay, sure, I'll take it. What else?
And a whistle to blow if I need to call for somebody for help.
Sure. All right, we'll take those 3 items. Ask me a question.
Where would you hide in the event of an earthquake?
Well, I'm going to hide under a table or under a strong structure like a bed. I'm not sure. Did that come from this paragraph? Did it tell me that I don't know.
No, not from my part.
That wasn't this paragraph. So let's focus on this paragraph. So that's the idea here, is we want to pick out pieces from this paragraph. So ask me a question that pertains or is connected directly to this paragraph only.
Okay, but what is the most important thing we should have prepared beforehand in an event of an earthquake?
The most important, I believe, according to this paragraph, was water. So
Yeah.
water is the most important. Why, Natalia? Why is water so important?
Because we may stay there for a while and we need the water because the suppliers, it's difficult for the suppliers to give us the water.
Why? What happens with the suppliers of the water?
They they may don't have the water, or it may takes time to get there.
Close. Let's get some clarity on that, but you're close. So it's this part here. So it says municipal delivery systems are likely to be compromised by the quake, which means that basically all of the pipes that are moving
Yes.
water through the city, they're going to break. So there's not going to be clean water, right? And we need clean water as humans. So that's the big problem. Okay, and what is something that we don't need to worry about? So we need to worry about water, but we don't need to worry about what, according to the author?
Sorry, I don't remember.
No, it's a tricky one. Food.
Okay.
Food, right? People store food, so people will they'll have cans of food and lots of food. But we don't need to worry about that. Why? Why do you think, Natalia? Why don't we need to worry about food in the event of an earthquake?
I guess it's because they are coming quickly to
Well,
take.
Yeah.
To get,
And you kind of have food. There's food everywhere, right? So, maybe the can will be a little bit squished in the store, but you can still eat it, right? So, so there's still going to be food around. And of course, this is just a personal note. Without water, we're in big trouble after 24 hours. But without food, we might feel a little bit hungry, but we're not going to drop to our knees, right? Yeah, we'll be good for a couple of days. So, food is not so urgent. All right. Well, Natalia, thank you so much for volunteering. Are you feeling a little bit more confident now?
Thank you so much. Yes, a little bit.
Okay, good. Natalia, make sure to come back tomorrow too for the speaking classes, okay?
Okay. Yes.
All right. And
Thank
enjoy
you.
the course. Bye, Natalia.
Thank you so much. Bye.
All right. Let's give Natalia a thumbs up. That was her first time volunteering. First time is always the scariest. I know. I can only imagine if I'm trying to speak Spanish and I'm volunteering on this kind of a channel to speak in Spanish. It would be so daunting reading and such, right? Ooh, absolutely. Okay, let's take another student here. Let's take Salman at the top here, waiting patiently. Salman, are you ready? Okay. Salman, if you're there, let me know and we'll jump right into it. Thank you for the thumbs up, everybody, for Natalia. You're all awesome. Yeah, being supportive of each other is so important. So important. Hello, Salman.
Hi, sir.
How are you? Salman, the line's a little bit touchy. Yeah, I can call you again. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a better line. So let me just do that. I saw that you were typing that. I could actually hear you typing. So I think if you're speaking, you're fine. Just check your mic, check your audio there. But here it goes. Hi,
again, sir.
Hi, Salman. How are you?
I'm fine.
Good. I think we got a good connection.
What about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Okay, Salman, where are you in our big, beautiful world right now?
I'm living in Turkey.
In Turkey. Awesome. And why are you taking the IELTS?
Well, I'm taking the IELTS because I want to take my bachelor degree in Italy, in Bologna, so I need the IELTS.
Okay, so doing it for a bachelor's in Italy. Beautiful place.
Yes.
I've been to Bologna, and I thought it was beautiful. Okay, let's do this. So read this paragraph for me when you're ready, in the event that you...
Okay, I'm starting. In the event that you are trapped after an earthquake, do not struggle or kick up dust. Instead, try to make sounds such as blowing on a whistle or tapping on a pipe so that the rescuers may locate you. If you have a mobile phone, use it to call or text for help. Earthquakes can be deadly. All the preparedness in the world will not help if a sufficiently large earthquake hits the wrong spot. What can be done, however, is to improve the chances of survival through education, appropriate construction, and diligent planning. Countless lives can be saved.
Very nice. Okay, so this last sentence, according to essay writing standards, is called the take-home message of the author. And the take-home message will sometimes rephrase the thesis statement, which was at the beginning of the passage, where it said earthquake preparedness takes 3 forms: education, construction, and planning. And then what it does is it gives another little piece of information to emphasize that. And here what it says is that countless lives can be saved. So many, many people's lives can be saved. So everybody should really pay attention to that as well. And then we get into the questions, and here we go. It's the yes, no, not given. So we're going to get into these, and we're going to work through these together. Can you read number 14 for me, please?
Yes, sir. Most earthquakes are strong enough to cause some damage.
Is it important to know how strong an earthquake is for this passage, for earthquake preparedness? Is it important for the reader to understand the strength of an earthquake? Yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So if it's important to understand the strength of an earthquake, now that we know that it's given, right? Because if it's important, it should be given, right? So we can rule out the not given. So instead of having 3 choices, now we're down to 2 choices. We're down to yes and no. According to this passage, are most earthquakes strong enough to cause some damage?
Yes, it is.
Okay. Turkey's kind of an earthquake zone as well, right? Is it not?
Can you hear me?
Yeah. Turkey is somewhat of an earthquake zone also, right? Especially along the Mediterranean. Correct?
My internet connection is a little bit bad.
Okay, no problem. I'll give you a second. Can you hear me okay?
My internet connection is a little bit bad, so can you tell the question again?
Yes. Turkey is...
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah, Turkey is an earthquake zone also, right?
Yeah, it is. Turkey have been occurred in 4th geologic time, so it's a young country compared to the other continents.
Have you ever felt an earthquake in Turkey?
Yeah, it was 7.0. It was a really big earthquake.
Okay, and that I'm sure caused a lot of damage. Have you ever been in a small earthquake in Turkey?
Yeah, that did. The constructions aren't really well in the Turkey.
Okay. Now, I'm sure that there are probably lots of small earthquakes in Turkey too, right? Do you have lots of small earthquakes in Turkey? Like little ones, like 2.0, 3.0, 3.5.
Yeah, there are, especially it's happening after the big earthquakes, but yeah.
Okay.
Yes, yeah.
Those little ones.
It causes tsunami.
Okay, but those little ones, those tiny ones, those 2.0, 3.0, 3.5, 2.5, do they cause damage?
Yeah, it always happens. No,
Okay.
they don't. They don't cause damage.
Okay, good. The little ones don't cause damage, right? So,
Yes.
So here, do you want to maybe change your answer?
Uh,
The answer is
Can you tell that again?
No. I think because of our connection, it's becoming a little bit challenging for you to follow my train of thought here. But what I'm trying to get you to realize is that most earthquakes are not strong enough to cause damage. If we go back to the beginning here, it says here, most of the time, they are only weak tremors which are not even strong enough to knock picture frames off walls. So this is where the answer comes from. But you shouldn't be searching for this answer. So especially if you live in an earthquake zone and you hear, oh, there was like a 3.0, did you feel it? And some people are like, oh no, I didn't even feel that, or I didn't know what was going on. Then you realize from your own experience, especially that, oh yeah, little ones just, they're not really damaging. So the author isn't going to say that. And most earthquakes, fortunately, are small ones that don't cause damage. So be really, really careful when you read these questions. Figure out if they're given first. And then especially if you can use your own knowledge, make sure that you don't get them wrong, okay? All right, Salman. So Salman, I think our connection's kind of weak and getting lost, but I think you got the idea. Thank you so much for volunteering. I'm going to continue with another student. Have an awesome rest of your day and continue to come back, okay?
Thank you, sir. You too.
Okay, bye, Salman. All right, so everybody got that, right? Okay, let's try somebody else here. Let's try Yuka just below. Yuka's been waiting very patiently. All I see here is a period. Yuka, are you still there? Are you ready to help me with some of these yes, no, not given questions? Yes, no, not given questions are very popular. True, false, not given questions. It's guaranteed you're going to get either yes, no, not given, true, false, not given, or both in your 3 IELTS passages. So be ready for these. And you can solve these as long as you're really careful and read carefully, okay? Pay attention to the details in these questions. Yuka, if you're there, first step, while we're waiting for Yuka, figure out if it's given or not given. Then try to figure out if it's true or false. Okay, let's try somebody else. So maybe Harjot is still here. Harjot, are you ready? I think we lost the connection there with Yuka. Harjot, if you're ready, let me know and then we'll connect. Okay, you should have a good connection for this, students. I mean, think about it. You're using YouTube and another website with audio chat, so you got to have, you know, a decent internet connection to run it all. Okay, Harjot, here we go.
Hi, hello, sir.
Hi, Harjot. How are you?
I'm good, sir. What about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for volunteering again. I know you're very studious and you're very patient. So good for you, Harjot. All right, Harjot, are you ready to do some of these yes, no, not given questions with me?
Yes, sir.
Awesome.
Yes.
Okay, whenever you're ready, read number 15 for me.
The strongest part of a room is farthest away from windows that can shatter.
Okay, first question. Is it important to know what the strongest part of a room is for a passage about earthquake preparedness? Is it important?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely, right? So it's got to be given. So the author must tell us about where the strongest part of the room is. So we can go to the next question. So we're down to 50-50. It's a good place, right? It's better than a 30-30-30. It's good to be in the 50-50 zone. All right. Is it true that the strongest part of the room is the furthest away from the windows that can shatter?
Yes, sir.
The author said that?
The author said about the stronger parts of the room, but they also said about windows, but not.
Okay, let's do it another way. So here's a trick, okay? If you can't do it this way, change the question. Let's change the question. What is the strongest part of any room?
Door.
Full sentence answer, please. What is the strongest part of any room? You have the correct answer, but just give it to me in a full sentence. Yeah. The door.
Can you hear me, sir?
I can, yes.
Yeah. Door or any desk or bench.
Okay. Sure. Is the door frame or the desk furthest away from windows that can shatter?
No.
No, right? Of course. You can have a table right under the window. And in classrooms, you often do, right? Like in a school class, you'll often have a desk that's right beside the window, or you have a window that's right beside the door frame, right? So it's possible, right? So then the answer here must be
No.
no, exactly. So one of the tips here for everybody, Harjot, is take your time with these. Don't rush the yes, no, not givens. Use your logic, okay? Logic is the most important to get these correct. These questions tell the truth. If you can figure out that it's given, then you should be able to figure out whether it's true or false, just even by using logic alone. Let's try the next one. Harjot, number 16. Can you read it?
Your head and neck are the weakest parts of your body and must be protected.
All right. So is it important to know what are the weakest parts of the body for earthquake preparedness?
Yes.
Okay. Let me ask you a different question, Harjot.
Okay.
What are the weakest parts of your body?
Maybe stomach or
Stomach or
fingers
or eyes
and fingers.
or eyes. Eyes are pretty jelly, right? We don't know. Harjot, we don't know. It's subjective, right? It depends on the situation. So it could be the eyes, it could be the heart, it could be the stomach, it could be the fingers if we're using tools. It's hard to say what the weakest part of the body is, right? So let me ask you this question again. For this passage, is it important to know what the weakest part of the body is?
No.
No, it's not going to be given because it's almost impossible to say anyway, right? So it's a tricky one because the author talks about the head and the neck. So the author says cover your head and neck, right? But the author doesn't talk about the weakest part of the body. And the subject of this sentence is not the head and the neck, it's the weakest part of the body. So we have to be really careful here, right? So here it's not given. The author doesn't talk about the weakest part of the body. He just says protect your head and your neck from falling hazards, but doesn't say it's because it's the weakest part of your body, right? In fact, our head is quite strong with the skull, right? Okay. Last question, number 17. Can you read it for me, please?
Aftershocks are incredibly dangerous.
Okay, now we know aftershocks are those little earthquakes that happen after the big earthquakes. Is it important to know earthquake preparedness to know if it's dangerous or not? The aftershocks, the smaller quakes that happen after the big quakes, is that important to know?
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Of course. And especially when you live in an earthquake zone, you know that. If you ever did a drill like me or Domenico or other people, then you absolutely know that. So it's given. Okay. From your own knowledge of what you know about earthquakes in the world, are aftershocks dangerous when there's a big earthquake? So big earthquakes, then there's aftershocks. Are they bad or who cares? You can just run around.
Yes, sir. They are really dangerous.
Absolutely, right? So it's a definite yes. And the author would say the same. So IELTS would never contradict the truth, or they try not to anyway. So they wouldn't say something like earthquakes, aftershocks are not dangerous. You can just get up and go for a run. No, they would never do that, especially since it's really dangerous information to give people, right? So
you know that you should stay under a safe zone for 10 or over 10 minutes.
Absolutely. You remember that part. Yes, definitely, Arjot. So patience, logic, critical thinking are the best way to get these answers correct. The worst, do you know what the worst strategy is, Harjot, for these questions in the IELTS? What the worst strategy is?
Skimming and scanning.
Yeah, skimming and scanning is a horrible idea for yes, no, not given, because you can't skim for a not given answer. You have to skim the whole passage, right? It's silly. So yeah, skimming and scanning don't work. Logic works best. The if this, then that. Harjot, that was really good. Thank you so much for volunteering and helping me out with this.
You're welcome, sir.
Okay, have a lovely day. Bye, Harjot.
You too. Bye.
All right, that was Harjot. Everybody, keep that page open and practice with each other. I'm out of time, but you have these questions here still. 18, 19, 20, 21. Here are the possible answers. And here's that summary completion question. I'm going to leave you these last two questions for you to figure out. You can watch the video on this channel again. Answer these questions. You can send your answers to my email. This is my email here, and I will give you the answer key, so I will let you know how you did. Just send it to adrian@aehelp.com. If you liked this class and you want to really participate in these live classes, I strongly recommend that you go to aehelp.com, sign up for the premium package. For general IELTS students, go to gieltshelp.com. The chat is shared, okay? Again, you can do that on the websites by clicking those big red buttons that are just right above my head there. It's a one-time payment, lifetime access, probably the best course, especially for the amount of money that you're spending to get you prepared for the IELTS. Spend a couple dollars. Use professional materials, okay? Use good materials. General IELTS, gieltshelp.com. Carolina, thank you for moderating the class. You did a fantastic job. I appreciate that. And thank you so much, subscribers, viewers, members, for being here with me today. I will be back tomorrow with speaking part 2, speaking part 3, and we will use the website for lots of speaking interactions. So make sure you have a good connection, and we'll be fantastic. I'm Adrian. I'm signing out from beautiful Victoria on West Coast Canada, right along the St. Andreas fault line. The Ring of Fire. Bye for now. Much love to all of you wherever you are in our beautiful world. Bye.